So do you ever feel like your mixes are just fighting you from the very beginning? It's probably because you're doing your static mix wrong. My name's Tyson. I'm the owner of bedroomproducer.com, where I help bedroom producers produce music that they're actually proud of. So today I'm going to show you how to flip the script on probably everything you've heard about how to do the static mix, build depth and balance inside of your mix. As a bonus, if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you my objective measure that I use on every single static mix to ensure that my mix sounds professional before moving on with any sort of EQ or compression inside of the mix. So step one of building the perfect static mix is to pull out a piece of paper. All we're going to do is write down all of the items inside of our mix. I like to associate mine with a numerical number because it's the easiest to then translate to step two, planning out what we're actually doing inside of the static mix, and also panning. We're gonna draw a baseball field on this piece of paper. We're gonna write down each and every element inside of our mix and where it's going to be inside of both the depth as well as width inside of our mix. This is going to make it super easy when we actually start moving faders to then look at our plan and determine, does the mix that I'm hearing match the plan that I laid out for it? If you get stuck during this section, then I highly recommend listening to a couple references that are similar to your song. It'll be far easier to listen to their song, see where things are at inside of the mix, both depth and also panning wise, to be able to then complete your own baseball planning worksheet properly. If you want to use the same worksheet that I'm using, there's a free link down in the description to pick up the Bedroom Producer's Ultimate Mixing Checklist, which is where this worksheet is found. Step three is where we want to bring all of the elements down inside of our mix so we don't hear anything coming out of our DAW. And then we want to loop the biggest or busiest section inside of our mix. Step four is where we bring up the element that's closest to us in our plan. So whether that's the snare, the kick, the vocal, whatever is the front element, that's the one we want to bring up first. We want to bring up the fader until it's peaking at minus 10 decibels on the fader, peak volume. After we bring up the initial element, then we want to bring up every other element one at a time, going backwards inside of our plan. After the first element, we'll bring up the second closest element to us. Listen to the first element while doing it. The pro tip here is always listen to different elements than you're actually bringing up, because if I listen to the element I'm bringing up, I will bring it up too far and it will dominate the mix because I want to hear it. Ultimately, that's going to result in a poor static mix, and then you're going to be fighting yourself the rest of the mix to try to correct the imbalance of your static mix. As you're doing this, make sure you're referencing your baseball planning worksheet to ensure that your elements are landing where you expect them to based on the plan that you laid out for yourself. Feel free to go back and listen to your references as well in order to make sure that you're not going too far off the beaten path with your mix. The bonus step for you is use an analyzer to actually analyze your mix. The principle we want to use here is relative sonic balance, meaning that each frequency is relatively equal to the frequencies around it. This gives us a nice smooth curve. Even if our mix is a little warm or a little bright at this point in time, we can use these broad sweeping moves with EQ to correct those throughout the mix, whether on an individual element or on the mix bus itself. But this will ensure we don't have any holes inside of our mix that could likely be fixed with just a simple volume adjustment on the fader to bring up our kick or our bass or anything that's potentially a little bit weak inside of our mix. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to learn more about the process of how to actually mix your music, feel free to check out that free mixing checklist down below. Or if you're ready to dive deeper, then I highly recommend picking up a copy of The Objective Mix. It's the book that I wrote in order to help bedroom producers mix their music confidently with a very simple workflow that you can follow step by step so you're not confused on what you're gonna do, but you can just follow the steps inside of this book. It also lays out the 4 keys to every single professional mix, and so you can learn those keys to implement inside of your mixing workflow every single time you sit down to mix a song. The link to this is in the description down below, and with that, I will see you in the next video.